Well, hello everybody and welcome to Lunch Break Live. Real talk about obesity, food obsession, recovery, and what's really eating you. I am Cari here with you today to ask a simple question. Does compassion equal permission? All right, we're going to talk a lot more about that actually. I've got pages and pages, so I'm going to dive in as soon as possible. But before I do that, especially for all of you newer viewers who have no idea who I am and why I'm talking about this stuff, I am a 2007 gastric bypass post-op, living life in recovery from obesity and obsessive compulsive overeating as twice the woman and half the body. I am also a recovery rebel and strategist, so I say stuff that most people won't say. I don't sugarcoat it. And oh yeah, I help people find and own their own crap so they can find their own recovery. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm just going to check in with you guys to see how you're all doing and welcome you all in, rather than going by and naming you all and waving at you all. I'm just going to give it a broad welcome in. I am so very grateful that you're here. And if you're a newer viewer, make sure and let me know. All right. Leave it in the comments. Let me know if you're a first time viewer, and let me know maybe if this is just your first time joining me live. I want you to feel welcome and know that I am really grateful that you're here with me today to talk about this because it's kind of a big subject. So, all righty. Here's where we are. I think that compassion is often misunderstood as a concept. And certainly I know I misunderstood it for many, many years. And as a result of misunderstanding, I didn't really exercise a whole lot of compassion, even though I considered myself to be a nice person. All right. Now, I'm going to start with a little anecdotal story about it that I read about yesterday. And then I'm going to bring it around to Houston, which, of course, is very much in the news right now. All right. So how many of you guys know Kelsey Grammer? Now, he is an actor, of course, from Cheers and Frasier, and, also he's on another show that I never watch right now, sorry, but really, really good actor, okay? I think that, I don't know if you guys know a lot about him, or maybe you think you know about him, but you're not really sure. This is what I learned yesterday about him. I learned some of it before, but this is the totality of it, all right? Kelsey Grammer was arrested, I'm going to say certainly maybe in the 90s, early 90s, or maybe 94, for a DUI. He was an alcoholic and a cocaine user. He has 4 ex-wives, and I don't know about you, but when you hear that, it might be kind of hard to have compassion for him, right? But here's what you may not have known. His father was actually murdered after a cab driver shot him. And this was when Kelsey was about 13. His sister was murdered by a serial killer who stabbed her 40 times. I think he was 18 at the time, and he had to identify her body. His 2 half-brothers died tragically together in an accident. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this guy's life that he's got to rise above somehow. How do you cope with that, right? But he's a celebrity, a lot of us say, right? And so we say, you know what? He can afford to buy anything, including happiness, And apparently, he should be able to get help and fix all of this stuff. Well, do we need to know all of the gory details about his life in order to have genuine compassion for him? Does having compassion for him mean that we are giving our permission to drink and drive? Okay? Does having compassion mean that we are condoning his drug use and his serial divorcing? Now, he's come a long way. To hear his story now, he's been through a lot. He's living in recovery from his own words, all right? He's cleaned up his act, but boy, did he go through a lot. Well, after I saw that, I had tremendous compassion for him, admittedly more so than I had before I knew the gory details. Now, shift over to Houston and contemporary right now in the news today, okay? Lots of heartbreaking news coming out of Houston. People drowning in their cars and being plucked from rooftops, It's easy to have compassion for them when we see them struggling to survive, right? It's very easy for us to put ourselves in their shoes, put ourselves in their position and say, wow, if I were in their shoes, I don't know how I'd feel. So I have tremendous compassion for them. Now here's what I want to know. I'm going to ask some questions and you guys can throw your responses out there, all right? On a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is most compassion, all right, and 1 is least compassion, how compassionate are you for the man that was rescued after being stranded in his home, in his wheelchair, with water up to his chest? So scale of 1 to 10, how compassionate are you for that man who was rescued in his home after being stranded there? He's in a wheelchair, water up to his chest. Okay? I would imagine it's a 10. It's like way up there, right? Because we can imagine what would happen if we were in his situation. All right? How about this one? How much compassion, scale of 1 to 10? Police officer who died when his car was swept away by a flash flood. Now, some people will say, okay, well, he should have known better than to drive in those conditions. I mean, I don't know, maybe he did it to himself. And okay, other people out there are going to say, I kind of do have a problem with cops. I'm not sure how I feel about it. You know, I'm kind of wrestling. I'm conflicted. Wait a minute. He wasn't in a police car when it happened. He was in his own car. What was he even doing out there? So we're asking these clarifying questions, not all of us, but some of us, to justify our compassion. Maybe we'll withhold it if we learn details about the circumstances that we don't really like, right? Don't really know. All right, here's one. A mother who died trying to save her 18-month-old son. Scale of 1 to 10 on this one. 1 to 10 for compassion, 10 being highest. Okay, now what if she died not trying to save her 18-month-old son, but she died trying to save her cat? Okay, does our compassion level change because she's trying to save her cat? What if she died trying to save her photo albums? So she's out there holding her arms, you know, above her head with her photo albums, and she gets swept away and she dies. Does our compassion shift? Does it lower? Are we less compassionate for her? How about if she died trying to save her very expensive jewelry collection? Does our compassion change? The more details we know about her and the more we determine if we can justify what it was that she was saving. Does our compassion level change? So does the compassion change when we learn details that make us question a person's wisdom? Are they still human beings at the end of the day? No matter what they were doing, are they still human beings? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. I guess what I'm wondering is, do we have to agree with someone in order to have compassion for them? All right? Do we have to like them in order to have compassion for them? I heard another story today on the radio. A black MMA fighter out there saves a white man even after the white man goes back to save his Confederate flag. Now that's ripped right off the pages, right out of the headlines right now, right? And a lot of people would say, well, that guy that was trying to save him, that black man, should have just let him drown because that white man's priorities are all screwed up and he probably hates black people anyway. That's the conclusion that a lot of people want to draw. So, do we have compassion? Are we like the guy that goes in to save no matter what? Or are we like the guy that when we find out the details, we go, you know, you can just drown? Are we doing that? Maybe we're doing it and we're not even aware we're doing it. I'm not sure. What is compassion? Well, let's look it up. I looked it up, okay? First entry, compassion, sympathetic pity and concern for the sufferings or misfortunes of others. Okay, so we look at it and we go, okay, I'm sympathetic because I understand, and I have pity and concern for their misfortunes. And of course, if I can identify with their misfortunes, I'm more compassionate maybe, right? Well, here's some synonyms: pity, sympathy, empathy. Ooh, okay, so now I have to be feeling what they're feeling in order to have compassion. Yes, I must feel what they're feeling. So it's a fellow feeling, in other words. Care, okay, I have care for them. A concern, solicitude. Oh man, now that's on me to actually do something, to go out of my way to permit them to do something. Sensitivity, warmth. Ooh, now I actually have to be warm. So it's not just having compassion, but I actually have to muster up some warmth, even if I don't like them or agree with them. Love. This is getting harder. Tenderness. Mercy. So even if I don't agree with you, I got to have mercy for you. I don't know how I feel about this. Leniency. And now I got to go easy on you. Tolerance. Isn't that a buzzword? We all talk about tolerance. Is tolerance only for stuff that we agree with? Or is this for the stuff we don't agree with? Kindness, humanity, and charity. Well, we're seeing a lot of this compassion on display out there. The charity, aren't we? The humanity. I posted a picture yesterday, a beautiful picture of a woman just holding the face of another woman who was just crying at the devastation. You know, that was beautiful. And it just so happens that the one woman was black and one woman was white. And you look at that and you think, wow, you see, color doesn't matter here. This is the ultimate compassion because we are all the same race. We're the human race. Wow. So here's another definition as we go a little bit deeper. Compassion, a feeling of distress. Now it's really, I'm feeling something here. It's a feeling of distress for the suffering or misfortune of another person. Yes, this is the kind of compassion that we are feeling on this macro level when we see those people, isn't it? And guess what? It often involves, this feeling of compassion, a desire to alleviate it. Now that's very important. A desire to alleviate it, to lift it, to remove that thing that is harming, causing harm, bringing harm to these people and suffering, okay? I found this quote when I was looking up about compassion, and I loved it, and I thought this was really amazing. Compassion is the heart that trembles in the face of suffering. The heart that trembles in the face of suffering. All right, so it gets hard here. Do I have compassion for a racist when they get hurt protesting other races? Do I have compassion for them if I don't agree with them? Do I have compassion for people who don't share my political beliefs? Okay, someone goes out of their way to disagree with me. Do I have compassion for them if something befalls them? Does compassion mean that I'm allowing or giving permission to that other person to believe what they believe, to be experiencing what they're experiencing? Am I giving them permission when I give them compassion to have been doing what it was that they were doing when they got hurt? And now they're hurt. Am I giving them permission, saying, yeah, all right, yeah, okay, you have a right to be hurt? Is that how that looks on us, all right? Basically, do I have compassion for people who don't share my faith, right? What if you don't share my faith? Do I have compassion for you? Or I just say good riddance to you? You don't believe in God? I don't have compassion for you. Is that what I do? Or am I called to something greater? Compassion literally means to suffer together. That's what compassion is, to suffer together. Does that definition right there help you to be more compassionate? Or does it make it harder to know that we are suffering with you, right? What is passion? Because compassion means with passion. Well, a lot of us interpret passion, you know, we define it as being something that is strong and romantic and lovely and happy. Oh, passion, it's wonderful. Okay, but sometimes it's strongly negative. You've heard about in what do they call it? The flight of passion, I can't find the word, but you know, when someone, an act of passion, right, where they shoot somebody. That's negative passion, right? But it's very strong, intense feeling. Sometimes it's intense suffering and pain. We talk about the passion of Jesus. He wasn't up there being happy about it, okay? See, suffering, intense suffering. So compassion means, with passion, means that we share another human being's intense feelings and intense sufferings, okay? That's what the real meaning of compassion is. So, do I have to agree with someone in order to have compassion? Do you struggle with having compassion when you don't agree with someone? It's okay if you do. I'm admitting I did. And I still have to check myself a lot and say, Cari, do you need to set aside your own crap and your own biases and have compassion here? Are you showing and feeling and being compassionate? All right. Can I have compassion? All right. This gets hard. For a morbidly obese person using a power chair at Walmart? Or do I judge and say, well, if you weren't fat, you could walk? How many people do that, right? If you would just then you wouldn't be in this situation. Oh, you're crap. Do I do that? Or do I have compassion, tremendous compassion for their circumstances, for their suffering, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual suffering that they are obviously going through, right? Can I have compassion for someone who's injured after drinking and driving? All right, DUI, right? They get injured. Do I have compassion for them if I say you did it to yourself? What if they kill someone in another car? Oh, boy, now I can't have compassion, right? Because you did it. I don't support what you did. I don't give you permission to go out there and do that. No compassion for you, right? It's tricky. It's really tricky, but I think it matters because I think that much of the time our compassion is limited by our biases and our agendas, and it is blocked by our beliefs. The very beliefs that are supposed to support this idea of having compassion for another human being can often block that compassion. Absolutely, right? So, you know what that means? If we are limited by our biases and our agendas and our beliefs, we may not have compassion for ourselves. What? We may not have compassion for ourselves if we are limited by our own biases and agendas and beliefs. And we may actually blame ourselves for our circumstances and withhold our mercy, our kindness, and our own humanity. I don't deserve compassion because I did it to myself. This is where compassion, we may not consider the significance of it in our recovery journeys, but this is where there is so much power in it, you guys, all right? So I ask you again, does compassion equal permission? That's the big question of the day. So if I have compassion for you, does that mean I am giving you permission to continue doing the things you're doing that have put you into this situation? Okay? So let's see. You're dealing with morbid obesity, you have bariatric surgery, and then now you go off and you become an alcoholic. So do I have compassion for you or not? Right? I'm like, well, you had surgery. That was supposed to fix all your problems, and then you just went and threw it away on what? Alcohol? You don't deserve my compassion. You had your chance. Is that what I do? Or am I called to something greater to say, I have compassion for you, even though I don't understand or I don't agree and I feel really bad about the choices that you're making? All right. Here's what I want to know. Do you have compassion for someone that we see on the news, right? We have these natural disasters like the flood, and we go, do I have compassion for that person who knowingly lived in the flood zone? You knew it could happen, right? So why should I have compassion for you? You made the choice to live there, or a hurricane zone. You live in the path of hurricanes or tornadoes, or God forbid, you live in earthquake country. Hi, I live in earthquake country. So I can't have compassion for you when your life is devastated by a natural disaster because you put yourself in harm's way and you lived right there on the edge knowing that you're thumbing your nose at fate and it could happen to you at any time. Therefore, I cannot have compassion for you because you should have known better. Ooh, how many of us do that? How many of us do that? Does it make us bad people? No. It means we got work to do on ourselves. That's what I think, right? Do I have compassion for you if you lose your, multi-million-dollar house when it slides off the cliff into the ocean? Because, you built it on a cliff so you could have this great view. And you know what? You deserve it. Your house fell off the cliff? Oh, well. Oh, because you have a lot more money than I do. You had a better house than I had. Do you see what I'm saying? See how easy it is? How easy it is, right? You lose your house in a brush fire. It's not a very big house, but it's a brush fire. Well, you lived out there in brush fire land. Do you see what I'm saying? We got to think about this stuff. If you choose to build there, you have to suffer the consequences. And I can't have compassion for you. How often is that our conclusion? I think we have to separate judgment and castigation and approval from compassion. That's what I think, all right? We have to give each other permission to be human. I give you permission to be human. I give you permission to suffer. You already have that permission, but I am actually letting go and saying, yes, I'm letting go. I'm not judging you for being human and suffering. No, of course. We all as humans are entitled to suffer. And we are entitled to make mistakes. And guess what? We are entitled to disagree with one another without hating each other. But permission is not required in order to have compassion for ourselves or others. I don't have to give you permission to have compassion, but it sure does help. All right. What does true compassion look like? Well, okay, someone who continues to work on this absolutely every single day. When I come before you guys here and I'm talking to you about stuff and I'm talking to you about the work that I'm doing, I'm not presenting myself as someone who is perfect in every way and never has thoughts that are very destructive or very unhealthy or very critical or judgmental. You know, I don't come before you with that. I tell you that I'm working on stuff. I can honestly tell you that I'm not eating over it, okay? But that doesn't mean that it's not still something that I need to work on, because it does threaten to undermine my recovery, my peace, my serenity, okay? That's why I bring this stuff to you guys. So I work hard on this absolutely every single day. And I'm going to tell you that this is my thought process now. As I have learned to work on and extend compassion to others, this is how it looks. This is what I have learned to say to myself, okay? I don't understand why you are blank, whatever it is, why you're hurting, why you're suffering, why you're struggling, whatever it is, okay, why you're going through this. I do not understand why you're going through this, but something really big must have happened to you. And whether I know it about it or not, whether I agree with it or not, whether I would have done the same thing in the same situation or not, I have compassion for you as a fellow human being, and I hope you will soon know relief. I am sorry for your pain and suffering. That's compassion right there. That is the process that I walk through. I don't understand why you are doing this, why you're behaving this way. It's destructive. It's hurtful. Maybe, okay? It's angry. It's lashing out. It's undermining other people. Why are you doing this? I have to have compassion for you because you must be in excruciating pain in order to be behaving in this way. All right? Whatever it is that you're doing. So when someone is suffering, probably the worst thing I can do is to start lecturing them on why they find themselves in this situation. It's real easy for me to do that too, especially with the show that I do every day, right? Or it's real easy for me to tell them to stop feeling that way and suck it up, right? That'd be real easy for me to say, well, come on, suck it up, get over it. You don't need to feel that way, come on. Did it to yourself. On this show, I talk a lot about owning our crap, okay? And I talk about doing the tough stuff every single day. And I talk about eliminating the blame. And I talk about how all of this stuff eats us up and we overfeed it. All of this stuff that I talk about, this crap, and this blame, right, and this judgment and cascade, all that stuff that eats us up. And when people leave comments to this show or on my wall or wherever I see them, actually on Facebook, let's say, about their sharing their despair and their pain and their struggles and confusion, I endeavor, it is always my sincerest and most fervent desire that I would begin my reply with something compassionate like, I cannot begin to imagine your pain or your sorrow, fear, anger, whatever. I cannot begin to imagine what you're going through, because I want to show you that I share your humanity, and I hope that your circumstances will change. I want that for you. I don't want you to have to live with this. And I work really hard when people leave comments and stuff to affirm your feelings and your responses, because they're yours. And sometimes I get it wrong. Absolutely. Sometimes my words don't come out right, or my intention is off. All right. I get it wrong. But why? Is it out of malicious intent or spite? Am I trying to hurt you and take you down? I like to think it's not, but it could be, because boy, there's that person inside me that isn't always innocent. Okay. And so I am still in recovery from that as well, all right? So usually, though, I like to think my response, like most people, like yours, would be to encourage them to get past it. Now, we want to help them find relief by what? Solving the problem. Isn't that what we do? I want to solve your problem. I want to help you solve your problem because I don't want you to be in that kind of pain, because when you're in that kind of pain, I kind of have sympathetic pain and I don't want to be in pain, and let's just solve this whole thing and just get through it, right? And what do? We say things like this. You know, just don't do that anymore. Just I need you to stop doing that. Or, you know what? You just got to stop feeling that way. Stop feeling that way. Knock it off. It's just, you shouldn't feel that way. It's not worth it. It's not worth your energy, right? You shouldn't do that. Well, that's our way of thinking we're going to solve the problem, because we're just telling you how you should feel. We're just telling you should stop hurting, right? You should, yeah, you know what? Here's the great thing. Just stop feeling that way, and you'll stop feeling that way. Oh, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And yet, isn't that what we do? And we come from a well-meaning place of wanting to alleviate the situation, okay, the pain. And you know what that does? It stops compassion dead in its tracks. And quite often, for the other person that you hope you are attempting to convey, compassion to, is replaced by their own shame or hopelessness. We're doubling down on them. They're already feeling maybe ashamed about their reaction, ashamed about the way they're feeling. They're already feeling hopeless. We've just doubled down on it. And it might even be replaced by apathy or blame, right? They're going to lash out in response and say, yeah, but, and I'm going to defend myself. Or I'm going to say, all right, you know what? I just don't care anymore. I just don't care. I can't get anybody to care about me, so I just don't care anymore. That can be a response as well. So the other person that we are trying to solve the problem for and tell how to feel and how not to feel, that other person might feel frustrated in their situation. Probably, right? And now you've told them they are responsible for feeling the way they do because they screwed up somehow and they're not doing the right things. That's what you're telling them. Don't feel that way because it's stupid to feel that way, I guess. Stop doing that because it's stupid to do that. See what I mean? It's not, we're coming from a place where we honestly want to fix things, but the net result is not what we intend, okay? And I get it. It does come from a place of good intention and a desire to help alleviate pain. But think about it for just a minute, okay? Let's say your 7-year-old daughter, we are up against the 30-minute mark, and I knew this was going to be a long show, and I hope you guys are okay for me to continue a little bit longer. If you've got to go, I understand. You don't even have to tell me because I don't even know. But just if you can hang around for a few more minutes so I can sum it up. Otherwise, you can come back and watch the rest on demand, all right? So think about it for a minute. Let's say your 7-year-old daughter comes home from school, and she says that some of the other girls were spreading rumors about her and calling her ugly. Oh, doesn't that hurt? If you're a parent or you have a relationship with some 7-year-old girl in your life, and she comes home and she is hurting and she's saying the other girls told her she was ugly, okay? So for most of us, what is that first response? What do we want to do to help the situation? We want to defend and protect her. That's what we want to do. I want to defend and protect her because I'm bigger. I'm older. I'm older than those 7 years. Yes. I'm going to defend and protect her. And we are silently plotting ways to make those girls pay for hurting our baby, aren't we? Silently plotting ways. Oh, I'm going to get them, right? That's what we're doing because we feel bad about what is happening. It's unjust. It's not fair. It's wrong. And as a result, this is what we say to that 7-year-old girl who came home and said, those girls were saying mean things about me. Don't worry about them. Just, you know what? They're just jealous. They don't like themselves, so they're putting you down just to feel better. Just ignore them. People like that hate it when you don't show a reaction. They hate being ignored. And since they don't have the satisfaction of picking on you, well, they'll just move on to somebody else. Isn't that what we do? And we do it because we believe we want to solve the problem for them, and we want them to understand what we know. We know this, right? And we're not having compassion for the genuine pain that our 7-year-old little girl is feeling. We just don't want her to be in pain anymore, and we figure we can make it right by explaining why it is that she hurts, so she won't hurt anymore. But really, what is happening? Your 7-year-old little girl still hurts because other people think she's ugly. And she might even feel ugly just now as a result of their saying it, or she might have always felt ugly, and now they're saying it. So they're saying something she already believed about herself. You don't know. You don't know this for sure. All right? So she is feeling ugly, and this confirms it now. Okay? So she's hurting, and you're telling her to get over it, which is telling her that her reactions and her feelings are stupid and invalid. You shouldn't feel that way. Okay? You shouldn't let them get to you. You shouldn't listen to them. You shouldn't hurt when someone says something hurtful. That's the net result. That's what's happening when we are trying to be our version of compassionate. which is really trying to say solve the problem so our little girl won't hurt anymore. And we are missing the point, all right? It's not limited to our kids, though. That's the thing, okay? So we do it with our girlfriends who call and say, he's cheating on me. And what do we say? Come on, girls. What do we say? He's cheating on me. We say, screw him. You're too good for him. You know what? There's other fish in the sea. Forget about him and move on. Don't we? You're better than that. He doesn't deserve you. That's what we say. And our friend is hurting. And meanwhile, your girlfriend is in agony over being cheated on. And here's what she's doing. She's beating herself up for missing the signals and allowing it to happen in the first place. And she's sitting here thinking, I should have known better. Why didn't I see it coming? Where were the warning signs? Maybe I should have seen it when. So she's beating herself up while you are trying to solve the problem of the cheating boyfriend or husband or whatever by telling her that she's better than that. So in other words, you're better than how you feel right now. Really? Because I don't feel better? That's what the conflict is inside, right? And again, we're trying to be supportive. That's what we're trying to do. But real compassion doesn't work that way. See, it doesn't work by trying to fix the problem by minimizing her problem, because she just wants to hear this. Oh, friend, I am so sorry this happened to you. That must really hurt. That must really hurt. And you know what? I know that if this happened to me, I would be confused and maybe I'd even want to blame myself for letting it happen. But that wouldn't fix anything. I wish I could take away some of your hurt, but I can't. So here's a hug, okay? And I'm here if you just need to talk. That's what compassion looks like. Compassion does not try to solve the other person's problem or compound it by not showing, experiencing the struggle with her. Do you see what I'm saying? Feeling the struggle with her. How would you feel if? Well, I know how I would feel. I would feel scared and alone, and what if I never find anybody, and all of those kinds of things, right? We would feel that way. So, it gets tricky here. What if her boyfriend is your brother, and he says to you, you know, I tried to get out of this relationship with my girlfriend, but she's really possessive and almost a stalker, so, you know, I did something really stupid and I cheated on her. Compassion? Do we have compassion for our brother now, who was the guy that cheated on somebody? Do we have mercy, forgiveness, permission? Is our compassion giving him permission to do that? It's a big question, isn't it? Tricky business. So this isn't easy. And I have been learning that it is not my place to judge other people's choices. And it's a hard lesson for me. And I do it more than ever before, and I continue to improve on it. But there's still room for improvement, of course. And I guess that's what they call life. I have also been learning that when I'm struggling with something and I don't get the compassion I wanted, I have to tell myself the things that I hope I'll hear from others, okay? So case in point, all right, Mom, here it is. My mom gets really frustrated with me about this one. She does. I struggle to remain calm when I'm driving because it's incredibly stressful, and it's made more stressful by inconsiderate, impatient, and inattentive drivers. It absolutely is. So it's as if it weren't hard enough just trying to get through it like a fish spawning upstream here, right? I got these inconsiderate, impatient, totally inattentive drivers. And sometimes I am that driver that I hate. Inattentive, impatient, and inconsiderate. And sometimes other people do things that jeopardize my situation. They put me in harm's way, okay? So I react, and then my mom hears it. And her typical response is this. Honey, don't do that. You need to calm down, and you need to stop making a big deal out of those other drivers. Well, I hate that reaction, Mom. I do, because she's not there, and she doesn't see what's happening, and I just feel like if she were there and saw, she wouldn't say that. This is the monologue I'm having in my head, all right? And sometimes I overreact, it's true, and sometimes I respond, with shock and a little bit of anger. I've reined myself in a lot. This is the thing she doesn't know, because she wasn't always on the phone with me. I have reined it in a lot. Not perfect. Fortunately, that is not the goal. I don't gesture wildly like I used to. She doesn't know this, but I used to gesture wildly. And I don't give chase, right? And so I can glare at them in their mirror, right? My mom will continue that she's just worried about me. And she is. And she just doesn't like it when I do this because it scares her and it makes her worried. But what I really want to hear is this, Mom. I really want to hear, honey, I'm really sorry that guy did that to you. I remember how stressful it was when I was out there in traffic every day. And I do feel your pain. I cannot begin to imagine what it's like for you to deal with this each and every day, going, and coming and going to work, and it's only 17 miles. I know it's frustrating to spend an hour, in traffic. That's it. Don't solve my problem, and don't tell me I'm bad and wrong for feeling the way that I feel. I'm not beating you up, Mom. I'm helping you here. I am frustrated, and there is no relief, but telling me to stop feeling a certain way doesn't help. I understand why you do it, Mom. I want you to know that because I've done it too, and I understand why I do it. Cari, that's me. And I understand why we all do it. We want to solve the problem, and we want to remove the pain. We do not want our loved one to be in pain. We want it gone. And we figure that the surest way to do that will be to just move on and ignore the impetus and just pretend it never happened, except that it did. It did happen, whatever it was, whatever it was. And our version of compassion is to say, just get over it, right? And you'll feel better when you don't feel this way. And I'm saying, but I do feel this way. And you telling me to get over it makes me feel like there's something wrong with me for feeling this way. And there's nothing wrong. It's how I feel. Okay. What I do about it is another story, but it's going to take me a little bit to process it. I'm not asking any of us to not have automatic thoughts and feelings. It's what we do about it in the long run. Do we eat over it? Do we go take it out on somebody else? Do we have anger issues with someone else? Do we go make somebody else feel bad and take it out somewhere else? Okay, that's the goal here to get through it. We all need, let's see here. Oh, just for today. I had to give you some homework as I go long. All right, just for today. I want to encourage you guys to consider the role of compassion in your own recovery. How do you express it to others, to yourself, to your partner or your kids or your mom? Do you affirm their feelings, even if you don't understand them? Or do you judge their role in the problem? I have work to do on this with my mom when she calls and tells me about all of the stuff that's going on where she lives with the frustrating people. I work hard to say, oh, I'm really sorry you're going through that, Mom. I can imagine how frustrating that is. I do. And sometimes I use shorthand and say, get over it, suck it up, stop doing that. And for that, I sincerely apologize because that is not compassionate. Let's see. Do you affirm their feelings even if you don't understand them, or do you judge their role in the problem, right? Do you give yourself credit? Ready for this? Do you give yourself credit for the burden of obesity and addiction, or do you beat yourself up because you don't understand? See? You don't understand why you're addicted. You don't understand why you had to deal with this obesity and somebody else didn't. You don't understand why you can't stop eating once you start. You don't understand why you want to drink all the time now. So, no compassion for you because I don't understand you, self. Well, compassion doesn't require me to understand. It doesn't require you to understand. It requires you to acknowledge the pain and identify as a human being that says that pain hurts. And I'm sorry you're going through it. We all need compassion. That's really the bottom line because we're all humans and we crave connection. We need that connection. We need to connect with others and feel understood. We don't want to feel isolated. And our disease does that enough for us. It isolates us enough. I am not suggesting that you guys throw a pity party. Right? You've heard me say, pity, party of one, your table's ready. I'm not asking you to do that. No pity party. I'm not asking you to do backstrokes while you're marinating in your misery. Okay? I'm saying, look for kindness and mercy. Leave the judgmentalism and the criticism aside and give the other person, you, permission to be human. It will go a really long way in your recovery. I promise. So that's my really long show about compassion, which I believe is so powerful. And it's something that we underuse. And yet if more of us did in this world, we would not have the kind of infighting and backfighting and backbiting that we see. We wouldn't have so much of the unhappiness that we perpetuate and we create for ourselves and for others. So just for today, consider the role of compassion in your life. Consider the role it plays and how it is that you participate in it. Is it something with which you struggle? Is it something that you can improve upon? If you're compassionate with others, do you extend that same level of compassion to yourself? Good questions, all of them. So I'm going to sign off and I'm going to remind you all to have courage. This stuff definitely takes courage, guys. Seek peace. Embrace joy, and above all, live your recovery. Remember, You can't stop feeding what's eating you if you don't know what's eating you. I will see you guys tomorrow. Stand tall and be brave, Houston, and know that our prayers are with you all. Take care. Share the show, guys. Bye.